Let's ask this question. They say prices of goods are dependent on petrol these days. When subsidy was removed, the prices of goods and services skyrocketed.
Mm.
Why has the prices not reduced even when the reduction of the petrol prices? Because the other day I was asking the driver, when it was 1,003, transport 5,005, 6,000. Now petrol is 900. The price still remains the same when I was traveling to Port Harcourt. It hasn't come down from the 5,500 or the 6,000 to something like 4,000. But the petrol then was 1,312. The price was 6,000, 5,005. It is 900. Some sell 895 in some filling stations. Yet the price still remains at 5,005 or 6,000. No regulation whatsoever. We want to understand.
Okay, thank you for having me here. Thank you for having me here, Mr. Kiomoye. This matter is a very, very broad matter that I would say there will be really no enough time for us to do justice to the topic as a whole. But
You have to try.
yes, we'll have to try our little best to see how we can touch on some vital aspects of the discussion. First thing first, we must understand that we have what we call the antitrust law. We have what we call the consumer protection law. And this law basically talks about those regulations put in place by law to protect the rights of consumers. And one of the laws also that kind of operates side by side consumer protection is what we call competition law. So in summary, we say competition and consumer protection law. In Nigeria currently, we have what we call the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, and that law basically established the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. That is the body, agency of government, so to say, given the responsibility to regulate practices, connected to the rights of consumers, generally in Nigeria. It is a quasi-judicial body. So when I mean a quasi-judicial body, as much as it has regulatory powers, it also has it also plays a role, a kind of adjudicatory role, like the court, but not really like the typical court of law. That's why it is called a quasi-judicial body. So it is kind of close to the court, but not the court of law. So that body has a responsibility to protect consumers. In fact, under the law, consumers who feel that their rights have been infringed upon can even approach this commission, lay complaint, and they can give a decision. And that decision will be binding on the undertaking. The undertaking is somebody who provides products, services, and all of that. That's an undertaking. So if you sell a product, you are called an undertaking. So they can give a verdict on an undertaking, and the undertaking is expected to obey the decision or the verdict of the commission. And where you feel for any reason whatsoever that you're not comfortable or you're not okay with the decision given by the commission, then you can appeal to the tribunal, also established by that same law. And from the tribunal, it goes straight to the Court of Appeal. That's the process, right? So in that same law, we have what we call the Consumer Bill of Rights. Consumers ordinarily have a lot of rights out there. I can't mention all of them, but for instance, one of the rights there is that a consumer has a right to be informed of a product in a language that he understands, in a plain and understandable language. All right, okay, this is what this product is all about and all of that. You need to know about the product before you buy that product. A consumer also have the right to know the price tag. In fact, it is the law that every product should have a price tag on it, right? And if I'm going to the market, let's say the supermarket, to buy something, and a product is tagged 20 naira, right? By the time I'm going to pay, I'm not expected to pay more than that. That's also my right. Okay, so all of those things actually play out. Now, the petroleum industry has its own law that regulates it. So we have what we call the PIA, which is the primary legislation that ordinarily regulates the petroleum industry, right? and we have, I think, the commission and also the regulation. One of them deals with the regulation of activities at the upstream. Then we have the midstream and the downstream. All right. Now, for us as consumers buying petroleum products, right? All those activities is connected to what we call the downstream. The downstream, right? Fine. We also have in place what we call consumer protection framework provided by the PIA to protect consumers. And that body that is given the responsibility to regulate downstream activities, right, also have the power to see that the rights of consumers are protected. So that's their responsibility. They have that responsibility. So what do I mean? As a consumer, if you go to a filling station and then you buy a petroleum product, and that petroleum product does not meet with the standard expected, right? Let's say you buy a substandard petroleum product, you have the right to seek redress. You have the right to make a complaint before that agency of government, who is now expected to take up the matter, right? And penalize that filling station undertaking, so to say. The same thing, right? If let's say there is a problem with the price, okay, we have cases where sometimes they will put 900 naira, and then by the time you want to buy, you find out that the quantity of the petrol you buy is far less than the quantity. Maybe it's not up to even 1 liter. They've adjusted the meter. All of those things are consumer protection related subject matters. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I get you.
And again, too, you know, this takes us then again to the problem of pricing. You see, the petroleum industry operates in a very unique manner. In fact, the current regime, as regulated by the Petroleum Industry Act, make it in such a way that pricing and prices, so to say, pricing and prices, okay, of petroleum products is deeply determined by open market forces. So that means that the NNPC also no longer have, government does not have that power to just fix price again or to say this is the way it ought to be. You get, it is dependent on open market forces. So these are some of the things that you need to take into consideration. How much do you spend rather in importing the fuel? How much do you spend in transporting the fuel? How much do you spend? All of those things you need to take all of those things into consideration. How much is spent rather in producing the petroleum product. I can't tell you the exact amount and all of that, but what I can tell you is for free, sir, is that it is heavily determined by open market forces. Now, the question about why is it that it's 1,000 naira, it has reduced by 100 naira, why don't we see that, change and all that? You need to understand something. That let's take, for instance, keke drivers, right? Okay, so the keke man buys his keke for 3-point-something million. Maybe before now, he used to buy for 600 or 800,000 naira. Now the price has increased heavily. Okay, so he's now buying a liter of fuel for, let's say, 1,000 something. Now let's say it has reduced, but let's say 1,000 something initially. Then after some time, it reduces by 100 naira. You won't really see that effect because the man may be taking into consideration other factors. For instance, he's also considering the amount he spends in buying the tire. Maybe he used to buy one tire for 5,000 naira. Now he's buying it for 20,000 naira.
We'll hold it there because someone told me something. One of the transporters told me something. But let's go for a commercial break. We'll be back shortly. Experience. Look, Nigeria, we still have Barrister Ebi Robert here with me. We're looking at the price fluctuation and regulation in Nigeria today. My name is Moyes Steving, your anchor this morning. Ebi, let's continue from where we stopped. We're talking about, you were trying to give an example of, a tricycle driver, auto rickshaw driver, how he places his prices, And I was telling you stories. One of the transporters, when I engaged him on this, I said, look, it's been 5,005, 6,000 when price of petrol was 1,312. And now it is 900 with the reduction by Dangote and all of that. And it's also reduced theirs to about 800 something, 70 something, 90 something. Not more than 900,000, 900 naira. Some filling stations sell 999, 950. Like yesterday, I bought about 950. So why aren't your own prices coming down to at least to 4,000, 4,500? And then he told me, you don't know oil to then we bring down no.
Exactly.
And this
exactly,
one, this
exactly.
one, that is it. I was like, before it was about petrol, and that's why we're increasing it. You didn't increase your petrol or your prices because oil has gone up or tire has gone up. You increase it because petrol has actually gone up. So why are you still complaining?
No, you take the keke man as an undertaking also. An example, because it provides services. You don't take into consideration in fixing your price. You don't take into consideration just one factor. You need to understand that fuel is there. The cost of engine oil will be considered. I don't know if you understand the price of how much does it spend in buying his tire. Okay, these are some of the things you need to consider. The man who is transporting you from Port Harcourt, let's say from Lagos down to Bayelsa. Okay, so we have a very funny culture in Nigeria. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And the Supreme Court, it's the Supreme Court, but one of the courts in Nigeria, the apex court in Nigeria, one of them, maybe the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court, I can't really remember the court exactly, but that one of the courts have mentioned expressly that the culture of the Nigerian police taking, then 20 naira from a police driver is a known fact, so it is judicially noticed already. Today, it may not be 20 naira, let's say about 100 naira, 200 naira, okay? So, when you drive as a driver, there are spots you get to police checkpoint, they will take 1,000 from you. They don't care whether you have your papers, you don't have your paper. They don't care. So the ordinary driver will say, what's the need even getting papers? Because at the end of the day, these guys will still take money from me. So when the man is fixing his price, he's also considering how much he's going to spend in giving the policemen and the security men on the road. He factors all of those things in before he fixes his price. That's the simple truth. So,
Oh my God.
So the thing is this: they are justified to some extent. We understand that yes, some people also take advantage of the situation to exploit, but we cannot also pay blind eye to the fact that some of these factors actually play outside Kimoye. That's the way it is. But before I round up, sir, I need to just make one point very clear. Price regulation. Actually, the law provides that the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Agency, as the primary body that regulates consumer rights, right? They have the power to regulate price. Are you getting me? But see the way it is done. Not just every product out there. The government does not regulate price for every product out there. But specific products, essential products that the president has listed out to be such products. So the law says that the president can, once in a while, make an order that will be published in the Federal Gazette, and he will state some products and services that he considers to be products that are so important that there is need to control prices on them. I'll give you a very good example. For now, because of the problem with the open market forces, like I mentioned for petroleum products, I may not really say that for the petroleum products. But maybe, for instance, before now, it could be considered. To some extent, it may be, but not really anymore because of the open market forces argument, right? But something like cement, for instance, because it has to do with shelter, which is an essential thing also for Nigerians. The president can say, oh, the prices of cement is blah, blah, okay, I'm listing it as one of those things. We need to do something about the regulation of prices for whatsoever. Then there is also the thing we need to consider again, which is an argument of price fixing. There is a difference between fixing prices and regulating prices. They are two different things. The government have the power to regulate price, but the issue of fixing prices is an individual thing for the undertaker. Undertaking, rather, not undertaker. Sorry, undertaker is the undertaking, right?
Yeah.
But the undertaking, it is against the law for undertakings to come together and then agree to fix a price. Get me very well.
Okay.
It is also wrong for association of undertakings to come together to fix a price. So let me give you a very good example. Let's say, for instance, Redmi 46, right, is a product. Then let's say people who sell phone come together. All of them come together and say, we are going to fix 150,000 naira as the price for this phone. anywhere you go, that is the price. It is wrong. It's against the law. In fact, if you have any evidence that there is such a thing, you can report it to the commission, and the commission will take it up. It is wrong for undertakings to come together and have that kind of agreement. So the law describes such agreement as restrictive agreement.
So that's why we go to the shop.
Yeah.
It is 15 naira.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the other one. We could get it 17 naira.
Yeah.
And we'll go to another place. It could be
That
13 naira.
That is normal. It's
Okay.
a normal market thing. In fact, it brings about competition. That's why the law says don't fix price and say this is the price generally.
Okay.
But allow individuals. Okay. So if, for instance, you go to market undertaking A is selling for 15 naira. You go to undertaking B is selling it for let's say what did I mention initially? What figure did I mention? Yes, okay, 1,000. Let's use 1,000. Okay. Undertaking A is selling it for 1,000. You go to undertaking B is selling it for 500. You go to undertaking C is selling it for 700. Competition comes in. You have the right now to choose. You can look at the standard of the good, the quality, and also the price. I went there, 1,000. No. When you go to another place, the person is telling you 800. Let me buy it here. But if there is general price fixing, it destroys and weakens competition.
Okay.
Yes. So that's just the way it is. You are not expected to agree and fix price. To say this is the price anywhere you go. No. People should be allowed to fix it as they want. Some people are so greedy, so they can buy something for 1,000 naira, they want to sell it for 2,000 naira. Okay, another person may say, no, let me just put 300 naira on top as my gain. Okay, so I want to get 1,003. Another person says it's 2,000 naira. But if, as a group, all undertakings come together and say we fix it at 2,000, then the moment those greedy people fix that price and everybody agrees, it becomes a problem to the consumer. That's the way it is.
Wow.
I don't know if you understand.
I got
so
it.
This is price fixing.
Okay.
But price regulation is different because that one has to do with the government. The presidency is involved. The commission is involved.
Wow. I think I'm educated this morning by Ebi Robert here.